History seems to have little to say regarding Borestone Mountain. The indigenous Wabanaki, the people of the Dawnland, considered mountains sacred places. It's possible Borestone was a thread woven through their spiritual tapestry. It's also possible that they may have hunted its slopes like they fished nearby Lake Ottawa. I've hiked this roughly 3.5-mile trail numerous times over the years, but never in the winter. Alpine ponds, sunrise, midday, and sunset, dot the halfway point between Mountain Road at the base of Borestone and its summit. These ponds are reputed to be fishless. Still, in the summer, it's possible to glimpse an occasional loon or perhaps some other bird paddling through their waters. From the dock on Sunrise Pond, one can see the mountain's west peak. Only after reaching it does one get a look at the east peak, Borestone's true summit. Almost immediately after starting the summit trail, the previously gradual incline turns sharper until exposed rocks and iron rungs and rails become the safest means of ascent. Simple enough in the summer, I would discover a unique challenge while scaling some of these icy, snow-covered surfaces in the winter. Crampons would have been a tremendous help. During the 1980s, after decades of declining peregrine falcon populations, fledglings were reintroduced to the region via hacking efforts on the vertical sides of Borestone Mountain. The Peregrine Ridge Trail, established relatively recently, takes hikers above the sheer cliffs where these fledglings would have nested. From the West Peak, one can look across portions of Lake Ottawa nestled between Borestone and Barren Mountains in Bodfish Valley. Once an active logging region, today the valley's primary purposes are conservation and recreation. In 1909, Robert Thomas Moore purchased Borestone Mountain. A wealthy ornithologist, naturalist, and conservationist, he built a residence on the shore of Midday Pond. Moore also established a fox farm not too far from his home. Today, the vestiges of a few enclosures in various stages of disrepair still exist along the Fox Pen Loop Trail. As the demand for fox pelts waned, Moore shifted his focus to conservation and to preserving Borestone as a nature sanctuary. In the 1950s, Moore donated his home, known as the Borestone Mountain Lodge, as well as the surrounding land, to the Maine Audubon Society. In 1913, a wooden groundhouse was built on Borestone's ledges to shelter watchmen on the lookout for forest fires. It was removed in the 1950s when the landowner, either Moore or the Maine Audubon Society, opted not to renew the lease. Two sturdy-looking nuts and bolts, embedded in granite and frozen with rust, are the only remains of the structure, or perhaps adjunct equipment, the only subtle evidence that there ever was such a presence here. On a clear day, like today, the East Peak offers views of the entirety of Lake Ottawa, a word meaning awake or awaken in the Wabanaki language. Conditions permitting, it's possible to see the Penobscot River in the distant east, or the province of Quebec, Canada, in the west. More typical sites include the Ship Pond Viaduct, that is, the Ottawa Trestle and Sebec Lake toward the southeast, and Moosehead Lake toward the northwest. Almost directly north, straddling the crest of Barren Mountain, lies a portion of Maine's 100-mile wilderness, considered to be the wildest section of the Appalachian Trail. Today was an almost perfect day for this hike. 30 degrees Fahrenheit, or roughly -1 degree Celsius, felt more like 25 degrees Fahrenheit, or about -4 degrees Celsius, because of light wind, but with the sunlight and the effort of walking through the ice and snow, I was comfortable. Except for the crunch of snow under my boots or the rustle of fir boughs stirred by an occasional breeze, the mountain was quiet. I wonder what Robert Thomas Moore might have thought during his first treks across these slopes. I've probably forgotten more trips up and down this mountain than I remember, but I suspect today's hike will stay with me. Isolated and insulated from the everyday, if only for a few miles, a few hours, there's something refreshing, almost otherworldly about Borestone in the winter.